All right, we're recording. Welcome everyone to Wednesday in Wellness. So I'm Erin Hart. I am a registered nurse. I'm a health coach, and I just am so passionate about living sugar and flour free. So I wanted to do an interview with Deanna. She's so inspiring and has helped so many people, and I can't wait to get to know her. So some of the things I teach, one of the things I teach in my program is just the key to achieving extraordinary success. And so there's three pillars. It's kind of like a stool that has three legs, right? Mastering your mindset, developing a winning strategy, and consistently executing your plan. And the reason why I think it's important to interview people like Deanna is because the second one, developing a winning strategy, really comes from learning from other people, learning from people who are doing this lifestyle, living it, and being successful in their program. And a little bit about my story, and we'll get into interviewing Deanna, is that a couple of years ago in October of 2020, I found myself at 284 pounds. And I have three little girls, I am an ICU nurse, and I just looked at myself in the mirror, and over 10 years, I had gained 120 pounds, and I just didn't recognize myself anymore when I looked in the mirror. And I was scared. I was so scared for my future. I was scared about my health, and I wanted to be there for my girls. I wanted to show up as the mom I wanted to be, and I knew I had a lot more life to live. So I knew I had to change my life. So that's when I found this sugar and flour free lifestyle that's just totally transformed my life. And I'm so grateful. I read the book Bright Line Eating, which by Susan Pierce Thompson, which totally changed my life. And I'm not endorsed by her or affiliated by Bright Line Eating in any way, but I just, I just am so grateful that came into my life at that time. And I lost all my weight I lost all my weight, 125 pounds in less than a year, and have been in maintenance for over a year. And it's just been such a miracle in my life. And I feel so called to share this message of hope with everyone. So I'm so glad that we can all be here together. I know that we are just all in this together, right? So if you are struggling with your program, if you're just starting, if you're in maintenance, we're all on the same path, just in different places. So this is how we learn and we grow, is by connecting with each other, and by learning from others' experiences and from our own mistakes, right? So the structure of this call, it's going to be about 45 minutes. And for the first 20 or 30 minutes, I just am excited to interview Deanna and really learn from her and her experience. And then we'll open it up at the last 15 minutes or so for questions. If you have questions about your program for Deanna or for me, that we can just address those at that time. And does that sound okay, everybody? Okay, great. So I'm going to highlight or spotlight Deanna and I so that you can see us better. So sorry, just one second here. And I'm getting better at Zoom, but it's been a journey.
It's a learning curve for sure.
It really is. So anyways, welcome, Deanna.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I want everybody to put your hands together and give yourself, first of all, give Erin a round of applause, because to lose 120 pounds in less than a year, I mean, that's super awe-inspiring. And I just want you all to clap for you. Number one, because you're showing up here for yourself. You're in this room. You chose to spend time with us tonight hopefully we can provide you with something that will help you learn and grow throughout whatever program you're choosing to do in this no sugar, no flour lifestyle. But Erin, thank you so much for having me tonight. I just so appreciate it. I can't wait to share my story and to hear more of yours, and as well as everybody else's as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Deanna, tell us a little bit about you. How did you get started with this lifestyle? What brought you into this world?
Well, I saw a TikTok video. It's no joke. It really is no joke either. I used to give my husband the hardest time because he was on TikTok a lot. And then here I come across a video of Emily Rose, which I know a lot of people have found the program that I am choosing to do, Bright Line Eating, through her in a roundabout sort of way. But I was just scrolling TikTok one day and I saw a gal making carrot fries. And I am a recipe junkie. I love to cook. I absolutely love new recipes. And I'm like, carrot fries, what's that all about? And so I watched it, and just as like a smidge of an afterthought inside of that video, she's going on and on about it, how to make the carrot fries and what she uses them for. She mentioned that she had lost over 100 pounds in around about a year doing Bright Line Eating. And I'm like, wait, what? And so that caught my attention right away. And so I looked at a couple different videos and I realized that Bright Line Eating was a book. And so I downloaded that book on Audible. I went out and mowed the lawn, and 5 hours later, I was still listening to the book. And then I finished it the next day, and a flip switched inside of me. I had been on a journey of self-discovery for about 4 or 5 months leading up to that. I had been through a period of what I learned was languishing. And this was from about April to August of 2021. And languishing, for those of you that don't know what it is, it's a feeling of blah. It's just a complacency where nothing excites you, nothing depresses you. It's just a feeling of utter mundaneness, like you're stuck and you can't get yourself out of the muck. And so for those months, I had no idea what the word languishing was, much less what I was going through. I just couldn't figure out why I didn't feel like doing anything. I figured, oh, maybe it's because we just all came off of a pandemic and we're trying to figure out this thing called life. Now that we're in this new normal, and I was just becoming a shell of myself. But when a friend posted the article that I found in to be very encouraging and inspiring from New York Times, and it put a name to it, all of a sudden I was open to different, to change. And I can't explain it or put my finger on it, but just having that word and knowing that I wasn't crazy and the way I was feeling wasn't crazy, but there was actually science behind it. It opened up my brain to the fact that not only could I feel different, but I could choose different as well. At the end of that time period, I was 240 pounds. I was at the highest I had ever been. I had been 240 pounds for several years. I had tried numerous things where the most recent thing before that, I had lost like 20 pounds in 2016. But from the time I got married in 1995, I was 150 pounds all the way up through 2021. My weight just kept climbing and climbing and climbing. And I tell people all the time, I can name every single one of my pounds. I know where they came from. I know what caused them. I am in a full ownership and responsibility of them to this day. And I also know where they came from and want to remember where I got them from, because I never, ever want to forget who that person was all of those years and what she's been through and how far she's come. Mm-hmm. And so when I found myself open, we ended up going to a trivia night where we took full body photos at the end after we had just eaten all the things at the trivia night and drank all the drinks. And whenever you have gorged yourself on food and drink and somebody's like, let's get a photo, I mean, you just know right away it's not going to work out so well. So you can see in that photo that I use as my before photo that not only myself, but my husband were trying to hide how we were showing up in it. You know, he has his arm across his belly and I'm like trying to sink in and blend in with the wall behind me because I just knew how I was going to look. And because I was open to choosing different, seeing that photo was literally my rock bottom. I was done. I didn't know what my answer was. I didn't know how I was going to do different. I didn't know what that even looked like. I tried Weight Watchers again for a short time period after that, and I just felt like there's got to be something different. There's got to be something more. And that TikTok video literally changed my life. It came along at the exact right time. That book hit home for me like she wrote it just for me. Again, I had the knowledge behind me that I wasn't crazy, that my brain had been changed in ways that were out of my control through all of my choices that I had made for so many years. But for the first time ever in my life, when it came to weight loss, I felt hopeful. I had lost hope. Like I had myself talked into believing that I was supposed to be 240 pounds. This must just be how I'm supposed to be, because if not, it would be a whole heck of a lot easier for me to lose weight. Like, surely this is just how I'm supposed to be, Deanna. Just accept it. You know, this body positivity movement, like, just be positive that this is how you're supposed to be. But I had a whispering in my soul that didn't sit well with me. And that whispering was that I was meant for more. I was supposed to be something other than that. I had played small for years and years, and the outsides of me did not match my insides. So TikTok, Bright Line Eating, listened to that book, and I went to my husband and I said, hey, I'm going to do something super crazy. It's probably not going to fly with you, but I just want you to know that I'm not going to eat sugar or sugar substitute of any kind. I'm not going to eat flour or flour substitute of any kind. I'm going to eat 3 meals a day with no snacking. And man, I was a grazer. I would graze all day long at the twinge of hunger. Feed it. And I'm going to weigh and measure my food. And I'm doing this. And if you want to do it with me, that's great. I'm not going to be responsible for you doing it. We're going to work our own program. You're going to have to read the book and figure it out for yourself. But this is what I have to do, and I have to do it for me. And so after a couple of conversations about what that looked like, he's like, let's do it. I'm scared I'm not going to wake up one morning. I had no idea how down in the dumps he was about his own weight, and we'd never really talked about it. He knew how I felt about me, and nobody knew how much I weighed. He didn't know. I would hide it from him, and people are always like, oh, you carry your weight so well. Like, that's a compliment. No, you carry your weight so well.
So you did it with your husband?
Yes. So we initially did a 14-day challenge, and he, to this day, makes all of his own foods. Now, I do 100% of the cooking and the meal prepping, but he will take the food that I have prepped and make his own meals out of it. So while we do this together, we do run, I call it running separate programs. We are each responsible 100% for the choices that we make. And there is accountability there. You know, we do talk to each other if we feel a little bit slippery, but at the end of the day, he chooses what he eats and I choose what I eat. And it has worked out very, very well for us. So as of today, I am down 92 pounds. Just over a year, I am at day, I should have had this, 416. He is down right around 70 pounds. And so we I tell people, give it 3 weeks and you will feel different. Give it 3 months and you will look different. Give it 6 months and life will never be the same again. And I can speak truth into that because that is what I have experienced.
That's so beautiful, Deanna. Your story is so inspiring. And I think a lot of us relate with what with your before story, just like how you felt that languishing, just that feeling of hopelessness and powerlessness against your cravings. And I remember feeling that same way and being resigned to, like, I'm a nurse, for heaven's sake, and I knew what to do. I knew how to be healthy, but yeah, I always thought, like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I turn this around? But like what you said, we're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with us. It's just that our brains are highly susceptible to food addiction, and we have a different brain that reacts differently to sugar and flour. So that, for me too, I really relate with that it was an eye-opening thing for me to realize there's nothing wrong with me. Right. That this is, once you have that diagnosis, or once you can give a name to what the issue is, like food addiction, then you have a path to freedom. Then you know how to work with it. But that rock bottom place that you're describing is such fertile ground for transformation, for change. And if anyone is in that rock bottom place right now, just know that there is hope. There really is. There is nothing special about me or Deanna. I mean, of course, we're all special in our own way, right? But there's nothing different about us that can help, that we can live this lifestyle and lose the weight, and you can't. Right. Like, it is possible, and there really is hope.
There is. There is.
And we owe it all to TikTok, Deanna, for you.
I know. I can't ever give my husband a hard time about TikTok. Every time he's like scrolling TikTok, I'm like, seriously, another cat video? And he's like, don't you give me a hard time. We're who we are today because of TikTok. I'm like,
yeah. But I just think that there's no coincidences. I think that everything happens for a reason, and I think that I'm not sure what your beliefs are, but I like, part of my beliefs are that God has a purpose for us in this life, and living in a healthy body is going to help us to fulfill that in a way that will help us to have more energy to do what we're meant to do in this life. And so I just don't think that there's any coincidences. I think that we have purpose, and things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
So
when I started really thinking about my why, because I'm a big, huge believer, like, first you have to believe in what you're doing and how you're doing it. You have to believe in your ability to do it. But then you have to have a why that is your foundation. And that why has to be weighed up against everything and every choice and decision you're making. And my why was, I want to live. I want to live, and I don't just want to live like to a certain age, or I don't see myself at a certain weight or a certain size. Like, I want to live. I want to experience life. I want to travel. And at the heart of my why is our 4-year-old granddaughter. And when I thought about all of the things that I would be missing if I kept doing what I was doing, I had myself with Alzheimer's. I had myself with cancer and heart disease and all the things that run in my family. I lost 3 grandparents to Alzheimer's, and one had dementia, but her heart took her first. So with a family history like that, I envisioned Aria's life without me in it. And that's still what keeps me going today. Yeah. So a cupcake is meaningless to me, because to me, that cupcake means a lot more than just the bite that it may be for a minute on my lips. Like, to me, that steals time away from the person and the people in my life who mean more to me than anything. And it's just not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's not. And, not just what you would be missing out on, but what your daughter would be, or what your granddaughter would be missing out on too, with her grandma. It's not like our choices affect more than us. And I love what you talked about with the why. That's a big part of the thing that I talk about is having a deep and strong why. Because if you're struggling with your program, it may be because you just haven't gone deep enough with your why. Like you might want to work on that and do some journaling about like, why is this so important for you to be successful? Because if your why is deep and strong enough, like you'll be able to blow past any obstacle. Nothing's going to get in your way.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to make it happen if you have a deep reason why. And my why was my girls. So, we just have to, some people think it's a sacrifice, right? To give up sugar and flour, that it's hard, but, or that you're missing out by not eating sugar and flour. But look what you're missing out on, really. You're missing out on pain, joint pain. You're missing out on, on like breathlessness walking up the stairs. You're missing out on diabetes. You're missing out on, that's what we're really missing out on when we give up flour and sugar.
Yeah. One of my mantras is you're not missing out on anything, or you're not losing anything. You're gaining everything, or you're gifting yourself, however you want to say it. Like, I'm not missing out. There's nothing missing from my life. I'm gifting myself the ability to show up in this world as my best and healthiest self. And be there when Arya graduates from school, be there to realize and actualize her dreams, whatever those may be. And to view my life without her in it from her point of view it just changed everything. Yeah. When I took the selfishness out of it and realized, oh yeah, Deanna, you may not be able ever be able to have that cookie ever again, but guess what? You may be there to walk her down the aisle one day. So it's extreme. Some people are like, oh, don't have your why be another person. But mine is so much different than that, because mine is all wrapped up in the fact that I want to live. And she's a big reason for that. So.
Yeah. And I think like a deep why, it does need to go beyond us, like it does need to, we need to have a deeper reason than just ourselves to change and to really change long term. But I love that abundance mindset, that you have, that you're not missing out, you're not deprived. We have such an abundance of healthy, whole, real, delicious, colorful food that we get to eat every day, and it's enough. It's amazing. And I think that that's part of being successful in this lifestyle, is shifting your mindset from that deprivation mindset to the abundance mindset, and really, because no one wants to feel deprived their whole life.
Right. Now, if you look at it as all the things you're missing out on, you can't have missing out on something and gaining everything in the same space. They can't occupy the same space. So one will always win. And it's usually the one where you're looking at all of the things that you can't have, or forever. And I am a big firm believer on, like, it's not for forever, it's just for today. And I can do anything for today. That's my number one mantra, that because if I were to look at the forever, like, my brain would freak out. It would have a moment, and my cat is rubbing up against my computer. I'm like, I promise you, I'm not moving my computer. My cat's
like earthquake.
I always say cats and kids are welcome on all of my Zooms, because inevitably,
I'm sure you can hear some crying in the background of there is bedtime over here. So you might hear my kiddos over here too. But well, Deanna, so tell me, in your journey to achieving such an incredible result with your health, like what are some of the obstacles that you faced, and how did you overcome that?
Well, the forever thing got me very early on. And then the lack of preparation was also a big struggle for me. Within the first couple of weeks, I learned very, very, I learned the hard way that you never have enough salad on hand. You never have enough vegetables or fruit, and you better have stuff in the refrigerator, because driving through a drive-through is a whole lot simpler when you're out and about and don't know that you have food to come home to that will take a couple minutes to put together. And so within a couple of weeks of having some pretty panic attack inducing events happen, I just realized I don't ever want to feel this way. Like, whatever I need to do to not feel this anxiety and this panic around food, because I'm never going to find freedom or peace if I'm constantly worried about where my next meal is coming from. I mean, I did that for years. That's how I got to 240 pounds. When am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? How much am I going to eat? I'm a quantity girl, and I need to know that I have choices available. And so to know that I have food prepped at home 100% has been the key to my success. I am a big meal prep believer. Because I'm a choice girl, I don't have the meals ready made. I have things in my refrigerator that I can put together depending on what I feel like eating that day. I've removed the foods that don't make sense for the journey that I'm on. They're either put far, far away, like out of sight, out of mind, or they're just not brought into my house at all. If I bring it into my house, then my brain's going to constantly be saying, you can't have that, can't have that, you can't have that. And I don't want to do that to my brain.
That's so willpower depleting, having to constantly think about it.
I don't want to do that. So I just choose not to bring it in my house at all. And then I set myself up for success in the best way possible that works for me. Now, meal prepping is by no means the be all end all. And a lot of people don't find peace in that, but it's where I have found the most amount of peace to be able to have food in my refrigerator. That way, when I'm half an hour from home and my belly starts telling me it's hungry, as opposed to what I always used to do in the past, and that's just drive through or stop by a convenience store to hold me over. I just know in half an hour, you're going to be home. And within 5 minutes from that, you're going to be eating an amazing, beautiful meal. So you can wait. It's okay. Nobody's going to die. It's all good. I've learned to make hunger my best friend. So when hunger presents itself, I'm just like, hi, hunger. Good to see you.
I know. Hunger is a good thing. It means it's how you know your body is transforming and changing. And, yeah, it's like, because in the beginning, when you were talking about, never allowing yourself to be hungry ever.
Oh,
right? Yeah. Isn't that what you said?
Oh,
and
yeah.
To, becoming comfortable with it, like making it your best friend. I love how you said that, because yeah, it's not an emergency, but it's definitely a common thing to have that discomfort with it. But it's important to embrace it and to make it into a positive feeling for yourself.
Yeah, I just know that it's my body doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing with the amazing food that I put in it. So if my body is talking to me and my stomach's grumbling, it doesn't mean I need to feed it. Just because I feel it doesn't mean I need to feed it. I can be hungry, and I've gone 10, 12 hours. I think right around 10 hours is like my maximum before I get hangry. Like, you don't want to see me with 10. And that was an extreme circumstance that I was in. But I can tell you that there have been times where I'm like, okay, hunger, I hear you. I hear you. You're just talking away at me. But guess what? It's not time yet. It's not time. It'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll live. Pull up a chair, because we're in this together.
I love that. And hunger is just the midpoint between abundance and abundance. And, so I love what you were saying about meal prep, because I think that is a thing that really, that it's really the reason that we go off plan a lot of times. It's not that, like the saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That is such a huge part of having success with this lifestyle long-term too, I feel, is just having strong routines and habits around food preparation and grocery shopping, menu planning, and things like that. Do you have any specific tips that help you with that?
For people who can't stand to cook, here's what I say, because I want to be careful with the words I use. Sometimes people will say, I hate to cook, or I'm no good at cooking. I don't know what to do or how to do it. So you can always reframe that and be like, okay, well, I have a lot to learn, but I'm open and willing to doing so. There's so many resources out there on the interwebs. I see Deb here watching. She has a fantastic page where she does dinners. And I know there's a ton of groups out there, my group included, where people can go and find recipes. And if that's overwhelming, then just start small and start easy. I've had pretty much the same basic foods in my repertoire for over a year now. And I'm not tired of them. I'm not sick of them, because I love, and I do mean love, the food that I cook, and I love the food that I eat. And I know that I have choices and opportunities to cook different things, but for me, it's all about easy and simple. And the best way to do that is to have a handful of recipes that I absolutely love and look forward to eating, that are easy to shop for, easy to cook. I can do it all at one time, and start small. Just pick a few meals and try to prep 3 days worth of meals, just 3, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you prep 3 days worth of meals, I guarantee by the end of the 3rd day, you will not hear your food chatterer as much. I call mine Steve. Oh, shut up, Steve.
I love how you named it.
I hope nobody has a spouse or a partner named Steve. It's nothing bad against Steve. I have a funny Steve story. That's where it came from. But anytime that annoying chatter is like, shut up. See, I just tell Steve to, go take a hike.
Yeah.
And I guarantee when you are prepped and ready, and you have beautiful food ready and waiting for you, the noise is cut down drastically. It's just drastically. And then you'll want more of that. That's where the peace comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the goal is not just weight loss. The goal is to find peace with food, and with your thoughts and your relationship with food, and freedom from cravings. And so meal preparation is huge in that part, in helping to decrease the amount of choices that we're having to make in the day, and bypass the need for willpower.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. So everyone, go ahead, if you have questions, start putting them in the chat. I'm going to ask Deanna a couple more questions.
I'm an open book, by the way, so feel free, throw some hard ones at me, because
throw them in there. So please, we would love that. And but Deanna, so tell me, let's see, what is your favorite non-scale victory that you've experienced?
My favorite non-scale victory. This is going to sound funny. There are a lot of little weird things that I'm noticing now that I didn't realize were a big deal. And my most recent one was, I was at an Airbnb, and I was always a bath sheets person. So I would buy the big bath sheets towels, and I would wrap them around me. And I went to an Airbnb, and I looked at the towel that was hanging on the rack that I was supposed to use for my body. And I'm like, there's no way that towel is that's like a little bitty towel. There's no way. And I got out of the shower and I wrapped it around, and when I wrapped it, I'm like, it's like kept wrapping, and then it tucked, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I wear a regular towel like that. That was shocking to me, because my brain has not caught up yet. And this has been, oh, hey, I know, I hear you. The light just dimmed. My brain still thinks I'm at 240 pounds. So it hasn't reconciled all the things yet. And even though I've been paying very, very close attention mentally and emotionally to myself and how I show up in this world over the course of the last year, there are still things that catch me way off guard. And I'm waiting for the day that my brain finally catches up, but I find it absolutely fascinating. It freaks me out all the time. I'm sure it does you too, and anybody else who has dropped, the weight, and now you're sitting at a body that you don't even recognize because maybe it's been years, or for me, 3 decades since I've been this size. And it's absolutely fascinating and mind-blowing that my brain is still catching up. And so now and then I'm like, come on, I'm over here. You need to catch up because we're not on the same page.
I know Deb wrote in the chat that hers hasn't caught up either. And and yeah, that I have definitely experienced that body dysmorphia at times. It's so interesting because it's really not just a physical transformation. I feel like in order to have a sustained sustained success with this lifestyle long term with our physical weight loss, we also have to transform mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It's not just physically, and it takes time for us to transform mentally and for it to catch up with the transformation we've had with our body. But yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I experienced that the other day. I went to Costco and I bought like a whole bunch of shirts without trying them on. And I came home, they're all like way too big. I'm like, oh, that's so weird, because you just have that body dysmorphia sometimes. But
yeah, it's interesting. And I do believe that you have to do the work along the way. I am a firm believer that if getting to a certain weight on a scale is your only goal and your only why, and that's like the end game, you're going to miss the beautiful journey from here to there. There's so many things along the way, so many wins, non-scale victories. There's so much transformation that can take place. But if you're singularly focused on a size or a number on a scale, when you get there, then what?
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're at that number and you'll think that your job is done, and your brain will have not done any of the work. Again, mind, body, and soul, you will have not done any of the work along the way to transform yourself 100% completely. All you're doing is transforming your body, and it's going to want to go right back to where your brain is the most comfortable. And that for me was 90 pounds ago. And I'm never, ever. I know they say, what is it, 1% or whatever, people keep their weight off long term. Never, ever.
Yeah, we're 100%. That's gonna, we're that 1%. But the only statistic that matters is yours, and you make your statistic. So you get it. So yeah, we don't have to regain the weight, but yeah, I think we have to be careful not to be overconfident and to make sure that we're careful and not casual with our program when you get to maintenance. It's
sure.
But yeah, I love that, Deanna. So some of the questions in the chat, let me just pull them up here. So, okay. So, oh yeah. So Lori, the name of the book we mentioned was called Bright Line Eating by Susan Pierce Thompson. And it's a great book. We recommend that you read it. Let's see. And then, yeah, Deb is saying my free Facebook page of just dinner ideas and recipes and videos is called Deb's Delicious Dinners. You don't have to join. I'm not selling anything. Just want to share my love for cooking with this lifestyle. Thank you so much, Deb. Deb is such a light in this community. She just gives so freely, and I just love you, Deb. Bernie said, so what are you on the susceptibility scale, Deanna?
Oh, I was a 10.
Yeah.
I tried to trick it. Because, I love personality quizzes. First of all, I've done DISC and Myers-Briggs, and I love learning about myself and growth and anything oriented around that. So when I saw that quiz, I'm like, oh, good. And then I read the first question. I'm like, I don't like this question. So I thought about trying to trick it, and I'm like, darn it, I should probably just be for real. Yeah, it came up with a 10. Yeah. And then I tried to take it again a couple of weeks ago. And it's pretty tricky because it's like, remember when you were at your lowest, you felt the worst about yourself or whatever. I'm like, darn it, I can't even take it now that I'm
Yeah, because we still have those neural grooves. And so once you're a 10, you're always a 10.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm a 10. Yay. It's the only 10.
It's just such a helpful. So if you don't know what that quiz is that we're talking about, Susan Pierce Thompson created a quiz that helps you to know your susceptibility to food addiction. And it's really helpful to know, like, if you're higher on the scale, so it's just, to me, I really appreciate knowing that I'm a 10, which is the highest, so highly susceptible to food addiction, because it just helps me to know I have to be careful and not casual about my recovery from food addiction. And so, yeah, thanks for asking that question, Bernie. Phyllis said, Deanna, how do you deal with disappointments and or expectations not happening?
Do you know me? Are you in my brain? Hi, Phyllis. Okay, so disappointments and expectations. So up until the past couple months, I have always been a forward thinker, like a forecaster. Let me say that. So I would forecast out what I thought should happen, and then I would work my actions around getting from point A to point B. And what I would do is I would create a story around what I thought should be something and how it should turn out. And then when it never did, I was shocked and disappointed and upset, mostly blaming myself with a lot of shame and blame. And I learned very, very quickly that that's a really crappy way to feel. And it's a really hard way to learn to love yourself. And throughout this whole journey, that has really been my number one goal, is get the weight loss. Fantastic. I want to live. I know that by following X, Y, and Z that I'm going to be able to do that, hopefully, God willing. But to learn to love myself again. And I do say again very lightly, because I can't remember a time up until recently where I could look in a mirror and tell myself that I loved me. And so what my expectations that I always forecasted out, they always, of course, had me as the hero, me saving the day, me swooping in and making sure that I could find my worth inside of that situation, when in all actuality, all I had to do was look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and tell myself all the amazing qualities I have about myself. So I don't have to rely on the world or rely on the people, and my husband included. Like, I don't have to rely on him to tell me how amazing and wonderful I am, because I can now look in the mirror and be able to tell myself that. And that has been very helpful in helping me stay in the now, in the present. I think when we forecast things out and we make up stories to go along with how we want things to be, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment, because chances are they're never going to be exactly as you envision them. But the only thing you can control is what you do, the choices that you make today. Now, like literally right this second, what choice am I going to make now that will get me from where I am to where I want to be? Not 10 years down the road, not even 5 months down the road, but what will I be able to do today, where if I wake up tomorrow, I can be proud of myself. I can look in the mirror and say, good job. I cannot have shame, guilt, regret, or remorse attached to a decision that I made the day before. And the living in the present without seeing how far I've come by looking at where I came from and acknowledging that and appreciating that, being grateful for that. Looking at the future as far as what I know I am capable of, not what I think will happen or hope will happen. And hopes and dreams are very important, don't get me wrong, but I'm not creating a fantasy world anymore. I know that the decision I make today will give me the ability to wake up tomorrow proud of myself. And that's all I can control. And so staying in the present moment and then not having to, when you stay in the present moment and you make choices that serve you, there's really no disappointment that can come along with that. But I also want to add to it, and I know this is a very long answer for a short question. I tend to be long-winded. My husband would be doing this right now. But I think it's very important that when we make decisions and choices that we look at them as to whether they're going to serve us and get us one step closer to where we want to be, or if they might be a choice where on the other side of it, we would make a different one the next time. And so even though things get tricky and sometimes we slip, trip, or fall, and I equate it to hiking, I'm a hiker. So sometimes we take a slip and or something gets in our way and we trip over it, and heaven forbid, sometimes we fall down. The best thing you can do is not stay there and cry and complain and moan and groan. I mean, if you're in the middle of a hiking trail, nobody's coming to save you. There's nobody that's going to come and pick you up and take you to the end of the trail. You have to stand up. You have to dust yourself off. You have to check for injuries and gauge where you are. Make sure that nothing is injured to a point where you need help or support. If you do need help or support, for sure, call on it. But I think the major thing to learn from all of it is when you slip, trip, or fall, you don't go back to the beginning of the trail and do the whole thing all over again. You don't. You just stand up. You dust yourself off. You get curious as to why you fell in the first place, because you want to make sure that you don't fall again. That's for sure. And then what do? You keep going. Mm-hmm. You just put one foot in front of the other, and you take one step and you take another step, and and sometimes there's a little bit of pain associated with it because you would rather not slip, trip, or fall, for sure, but you did, and it is what it is. And so here you are. You just take one step and then another step, and before you know it, you're going to be back at that trailhead, and you're going to be stronger, and you're going to know more. You're going to have all the experience behind you. You're going to have the fact that you overcame that fall and you were able to pick yourself up and dust yourself off. So you have that as an experience now to latch onto, so you know you can do hard things. And then the next time you go out on a trail, you're a little bit more prepared. You have maybe some extra tools in your tool belt, or, things in your backpack, maybe a first aid kit. But yeah, you just keep going. You have to keep going no matter what. Don't quit. Don't ever quit. Nobody is going to pick you up and take you back to your car. You have to keep going. You can keep going.
That is so beautiful, Deanna. Thanks for sharing that. And Phyllis, thanks for asking that question. It's such a good question, because we're not just talking about weight loss. This is more than weight loss. It's about the complete transformation and learning to deal with disappointments and managing expectations is an important part of that. So thanks for sharing that. So we are out of time, but are you okay to take a few more questions, Deanna? So if you guys need to go, you can go ahead. But Deanna, do you have a couple more minutes?
Of course, yes.
Okay. So let's just go ahead and answer the rest of these questions here, because they're really good ones. So Bernie asked, do you have a favorite book?
Oh, friend. So I'm an Audible listener. I absolutely love listening to books while I'm doing yard work or cleaning or just around the house or driving. There's so many.
Ooh, okay, can I go? Because I have so many. Some of my favorite books, I love Atomic Habits for sure. Like, if you haven't read that one is life-changing. Learning how to consistently execute your plan and develop habits that will serve you throughout your life. It's an excellent book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Brain Over Binge by Katherine Hanson. That book has helped me so much. Extremely helpful. If you do read that one, just kind of skip the first 7 chapters. She talks a lot about her eating disorder in detail, but you can really get to good parts, like around chapter 8. I love The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. That book, so the 5-second rule is life-changing. If you guys haven't read it, I love it. It does have a little language in there. Sorry if it bugs anybody, but that book has helped me so much with my program. And yeah, so those I think those are my 3 like favorite books I love to recommend to people for sure. And Resume. If you haven't read Resume by Susan Pierce Thompson, we already talked about Bright Line Eating, but Resume by Susan Pierce Thompson, that book is awesome. So definitely recommend those ones.
So I'm going to add to it. I love Mel Robbins. I'm a Mel Robbins junkie. She just came out with a podcast too, where one of her first ones was Motivation is Garbage. Friends, listen to that one. It plays so well. And then she just did one on peace. So good. So the 5-second rule and the high 5 habit was her second one. Those are fantastic. I love the book, The Big Leap. It's The Big Leap by an author named Gay Hendricks. And he goes into details about how in your life you will find things that are your zone of competence, your zone of excellence, and your zone of genius. And I had a friend tell me when I was in a previous career, Deanna, you're definitely in your zone of excellence, but this is not your zone of genius. And when he said the word zone of genius, like my soul lit on fire. I can't even explain it, but it also talks about this glass ceiling that we always butt up against, this vision of how high we can go. And we're constantly, as long as we limit ourselves and have these limiting beliefs, we're constantly butting up against it. And so it's up to us to determine whether we're going to break through that glass ceiling. Imagine like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory kind of busting through. But yeah, that probably is my number one. Like
that one, The Big Leap. So it's called The Big Leap.
Big Leap.
Who wrote it?
It's Gay Hendricks. Gayhendrix.
I love that. If you guys have more books that you like, write them in the chat. I love to read. So
Everything is Figure Outable. It's fantastic. I mean, I
love that
there
one.
probably isn't like a self-improvement book I haven't read.
I know Everything is Figure Outable by Maria Forleo or something. I can't remember. That one, that's so good. Okay. Let's see. What do you tell someone who is just on and off and can't string more than a few bright days together?
Oh, I'm going to drill down on that one. Kind of go back to, do you believe that what you are choosing to do, whatever program you are on, do you believe that it will work for you? Like, do you believe that that's your answer and that it is the best fit for you right now? And if you believe that, then do you believe in your ability to do it? Because believing that something will work is great. But do you believe that it will work for you? Like, do you believe that you have the ability to do it? Because if the answer is no, and all of the self-talk that you're going through is, I can't do this and I can't do that, then that's going to be your reality. What we speak out and what we believe is what comes to fruition. And so my suggestion is, if you don't know whether what you're doing is right for you or it's a good fit, and maybe you don't believe in your ability to do it, then keep searching, keep looking, keep figuring it out. The diet culture is super cookie cutter. So people think that, oh, if one person does it this way, then that must mean it must work for everybody. And that's not true. Like, we have to find, just like putting clothes on, you have to find what fits, and you have to find where you can shine and believe in yourself and your abilities the most inside of that. And then from there, like we're going to go back to your why, just like Erin talked about. That has to be the foundation. It has to be the reason why you wake up in the morning and choose you. Like, you have to choose you and know that your why is big enough, bigger than any trigger or craving that comes your way. And if you just don't know what your why is, then maybe you just don't know who you are, or you're not comfortable with who you are and your innate abilities and your gifts and strengths and talents. And so I'm, again, love sharing with people, like, take a look in the mirror, just sit with yourself, staring at yourself in the mirror, and then come up with a list of I ams that that when you say those I ams out loud, they are exactly who you are. Like, there is no lie, nothing else outside of them, but the innate truth as to the core of your being. And so when you know who you are and you have that why that's kind of paving the way to where you want to go, and then the belief in yourself and your ability to do what you've chosen to do, the on and the off tends to change a little bit. Because you have the ability to look at what's in front of you and choose in that moment, is this going to serve me? Or on the other side of it, am I making a choice that might have guilt, shame, regret, or remorse attached to it? And I don't want to feel that way anymore. I don't want to feel like crap in my body, brain, and my soul. I just don't want to feel that way. And so how can I not feel that way? I can make choices that serve me. How do I make choices that serve me? I have to know who I am, and I have to know what I'm worth. And I'm looking at each and every single one of you. I'm telling you, my friends, if you don't believe in yourself and your ability to do what you're choosing to do, I will believe in you enough for you. I know you can do it. There's something in you that's telling you you can't. Shut that side of you up and say, yes, I can. I can, and I will. I can, and I will.
It's a lot of mindset work, that we have to do in this. And perfectionism is something that a lot of people struggle with. But, no one is perfect. We are all human, and we're going to make mistakes. You have to make failure your friend, just like you have to make hunger your best friend, make failure your other best friend. Like, failure is just part of the process. And it's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. And just because you're not, just I would encourage you in that with that question, like if you're having trouble stringing a few days together, just realize that it's okay. Like, it's okay. Just keep going. Just keep going. Don't stop. This success in this lifestyle is not about perfection. It's about unstoppability. So, for me, a rule that I have in my life is, like, if I have a meal that's off plan, or if I'm struggling, with my program, if I make mistakes, which I've made a lot of mistakes in my program, I'm not perfect in any means, but it's such a gift because you can learn from it. But I just, try to, so I teach like C. So compassionate curiosity with yourself, trying to understand more about yourself, doing that self-reflection, connection, make sure you're connecting with someone. If you have a program that you feel is the right one for you and you're all in with it, but you're struggling with it at times, like, connect with other people who can support you and encourage you, and who you can reach out to, who are non-judgmental and empathetic. That's really important part. And then the third C is just commitment. So committing to getting right back on track, like the very next meal. It's no big deal. Don't beat yourself up. Just get right back on track the very next meal. And that's kind of the rule I have, that if I make a mistake, then I never have 2 meals off plan in a row. And that's something that's helped me to stay close to those food boundaries that have been so protective for me, and to overcome the all or nothing mentality. It's all about progress and not perfection. So be kind to yourself.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Deb said she loved the book Satisfied by Dr. Rhonda Epstein. Yeah, thank you.
Not that one yet.
I haven't read that one either. I'll have to look into that. And yeah, thanks, Phyllis, for sharing your story here. So let's see. I just want to make sure we didn't miss one. So the last question that we'll do tonight is, do you do daily journaling? So Sharon Alexander asked this for us.
So I don't do journaling as far as like writing out my thoughts, feelings, things like that. I do a gratitude practice every single day, and I'm a big believer in making sure that we replace negativity with gratitude. Like even in the hard, you can find things to be grateful for. And so looking back on each day with gratitude, maybe even looking at some of the hards for the day and figuring out what there was to be grateful for inside of that I'm a huge believer in that. I do not food journal. I very early on thought that I had to write all my foods down the night before, and I'm an out of the box person. You try to put me in a box, I'll tend to like fight my way out of it. And so for 2 weeks, I was miserable and it wasn't serving me. So then I went to writing down all of my food after I ate it. And I did that for probably 3 or 4 months until automaticity kicked in. And once automaticity kicked in, I have a binder that has some information in it that I'll reference every now and then, but I don't even write my food down anymore because my automaticity is everything to me, because automaticity equals peace. And I will do whatever it takes to create peace over my program and over my life. And so that's where I've found the most amount of success, truthfully, and the best peace of mind as well. So
Yeah, I love that, Deanna. And, that's the amazing thing about this. There's no like cookie cutter meal plan. Like you have to trust your inner wisdom that what works for someone might not work for another person. And it's okay. Like we can customize it for what works for us and trust that inner wisdom within us. For me, journaling has been a huge part of, like, I really attribute almost all my success with writing down my food the night before and the next day eating what I wrote down. Just in my crazy life, for the past year, I've been working 2 jobs. I started a business. I have 3 kids, so busy, and I just don't have the mental space to make good decisions with my food. And that has really helped me to bypass the need for willpower. During that first year when I was transforming, I wrote in my journal every single night, and I processed all of my journey on paper, and it really helped me to rewire my brain. So for me, that was a really important part of it. But it's really just individual. What you have to just always look inside for that inner wisdom of what your program should look like.
And I think you brought up a big thing of trust. You have to figure out, again, what works for you, and then be able to trust yourself and your abilities to make good and healthy choices, wise decisions that will serve you and serve where you're trying to get to as well. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Deanna, for coming. And thank you everyone for being here. So glad that we could spend tonight together. So we just love you guys. And anyway, Deanna, so tell us, where can people find you? And because you have your Facebook group, right? Tell us what that's called.
Sure. So November of last year, actually a year ago, yay, I created a group called No Sugar, No Flour, No Problem. And it's on Facebook. I also document most of my journey on my Instagram page. I don't do a lot on my personal page. I'm an entrepreneur. My husband and I own our own business networking organization. And so a lot of my personal Facebook page is devoted to that. But if you want to find me, I'm pretty much all over the interwebs.
I love it. I love it.
I just launched a website too. It's basically NSNFNP. So it's No Sugar, No Flour, No Problem, but the first letters of each of those .com. And I'm going to have some digital recipes that people can download on there. And then I do lead challenges We're in the middle. Oh no, we're at the tail end of a 21-day challenge, which I've been running 21-day challenges for the last 7 months. And we're getting ready to launch a 45-day challenge that'll help people through the holidays. So yeah,
Yay.
you can find me pretty much anywhere that you have a phone or a computer. And I'm happy to help anybody or answer any questions as well. If you have a need for coaching, for sure, get with Erin. I've been watching her since she reached out to me. She doesn't know I'm watching her. That's not the least
I didn't
creepy.
know you were watching me, Deanna.
I've been watching her videos and getting to know her through that. And she's absolutely phenomenal at what she does. And she has so many gifts, strengths, and talents around helping people on this journey as well. So if you have a need for a personal coach, I know you're getting ready to launch group coaching too. So that's exciting. And I'm excited for you. So
Deanna, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been a fun journey this last year, becoming an accidental entrepreneur and starting my own business. But it's just, I feel so called to do it. It's just such a joy. And so, yeah, thank you. So I have a Facebook group too. It's called Healthy Real Food, Sugar and Flour Freedom. It's free. I go live there every Monday for Monday Mindset. So you can join it there too. But yeah, well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Deanna. Best wishes to you guys. Hope you guys have a happy holidays coming up. And so I do one of these meetings every month. It's either an interview or we do a little book club in my Facebook group. It's really fun. So anyway, you can go there at Healthy Real Food to learn more about that if you want to participate in more of these interviews. So anyway, hope that you guys have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.
thanks, everybody. Thanks, Erin. It's been fun. I appreciate you.
Oh, that was amazing. You're awesome. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.